So here we're going to be looking at the next section, which is section 1.2, the slope of a tangent. So normally when you're finding the slope of a curve, if you're given 2 points, it's relatively easy. It's just m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. What do you do if you are given 1 point and you need to find the slope? So for instance, if we look at this example, there is point P, and we're trying to find the slope at point P. So what you have to do is look at another point on the curve, which is Q. The line that joins P and Q is called the secant. And as you move the secant more and more closer to P, you are going to get the true slope of P. So for instance, here, we will illustrate this idea by finding the slope of the tangent to parabola x squared plus y equals x squared plus p, and you get 0.3 and 9. Okay. So let's say we're trying to find the slope of the tangent at 0.3 and 9. So there are different ways in which you can do this, but I'm going to show you one of the ways. So you have y equals x squared, and you have point P, which is 3 and 9. So what you do is, okay, so the equation is x squared, and the point, x point is 3. So what you do is you take 3 plus h squared, and this is a positive number, so minus 9. If it was a negative number, it would be plus whatever number, so over h. So now let's expand it out. So you have x squared plus 2 times 3 times h is, oh, sorry, that's 6. We have 6h plus 9 minus 9 over h. So now you have h squared plus 6h over h. So if you remove the common, which is h, you get h squared, h plus 6 over h. You can cancel these two. So h plus 6. So if you substitute h as 0, so 0 plus 6, you get 6. So the slope at 0.3 and 9 is 6. You can use this method anytime you're given just 1 point. So let's get started on the questions, and as we go through the questions, you will get a better understanding. So here you're given 2 points, so finding the slope is relatively easy. So the equation is y equal, m, which is slope, equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So You can choose either one to be y1 or x1, it doesn't matter, but here, this point is going to be x1, this is going to be y1, this is going to be x2 and y2. So if we do the equation, we get minus 8 minus 7 over minus 3 minus 2 equals negative 15 over negative 5 equals positive 3. So the slope between these 2 points is 3. Let's do the next one. So that's A. Let's look at B. Slope equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So if you see, the points are 1 over 2, 3 over 2, and 7 over 2, and minus 7 over 2. So I'm going to choose this as y2. This is going to be y1. This is going to be x2, and this is going to be x1. So let's just write this out. Negative 7 over 2 minus 3 over 2 over 7 over 2 minus 1 over 2. So this becomes negative 10 over 2. Since they're common denominators, you can simply subtract them. And here it's going to be 6 over 2. So negative 10 divided by 2 is negative 5. And 6 divided by 2 is 3. So that's the answer for B. Let's look at C. So C is 6.3 and negative 2.6. And the next one is 1.5 and negative 1. Let's do that one. So we get slope equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1 equals negative 1 minus 2.6 over 1.5 minus 6.3 equals 1.6 over negative 4.8 equals negative 1 over 3. So that's the answer for C. Let's look at question 2. So determine the slope of a line perpendicular to each of the following. So when you are doing perpendicular lines, the slopes will multiply to negative. So let me give you an example. So if you have a slope of 3, the perpendicular slope is going to be negative 1 over 3. It's just like a flipping. So let's say if it was 4, which is also like 4 over 1, it would be negative 1 over 4. If it's 1.5 is going to be -2. So I think you get the point. So now let's do 2a. You have the equation y equals 3x minus 5. So this is the y-intercept. And this is the slope. So if the slope is 3, what would the perpendicular slope be? It would be -1/3. That's A. Let's look at B. 13x minus 7y minus 11. So we should always bring our equation into this format. So we have -7y equals -13x plus 11. And you divide everything, you're going to divide the whole equation by -7 because that's what's in front of the y. So you have y -13x over -7 plus 11 is -7. So you have y equals 13 over 7, because it's negative and negative, it becomes positive. This is positive and negative, so it's a negative. So here in this equation, the slope is 13 over 7. So the perpendicular slope is going to be -7 over 13. It's perpendicular. Okay, so now let's look at, that's question 2. Let's look at question 3. Passing, state the equation and sketch the graph of each of the line described below. So the points are -4 and -4 and 5/3 and -5/3. So let's do that. So slope equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. You get -5/3 minus -4 over 5/3 minus -4 equals -5/3 . You can change this to have the denominator of 3. So it would be, if you change this to have a denominator of 3, it would be plus 12/3. Because if you divide 12/3, you get 4. So then over here, we do 5/3 plus 12/3 equals, so -5/3 plus 12/3, you're left with 7/3 over, and 5/3, plus 12 over 3 is 17 over 3. So 7 over 3 divided by 17 over 3, you would do 7 over 3 multiplied by 3 over 17. Because whenever there's division, what you do is you flip the new denominator to the numerator and the numerator to denominator, and then you just multiply the top and the bottom, so 21 over 51. And you can actually reduce both the numerator and the denominator by 3. So 21 divided by 3 is 7, and the denominator 51 divided by 3 is 17. So we have, this is the slope. So we have y equals mx plus b. So we found the slope, but now we have to find the intercept, and we do this by inputting all of the information we have. So we have a y point, so we can use -4. So -4 equals 7 over 17, which is the slope. Bracket -4 plus b. So now you have -4 equals -28 over 17 plus b. And then if you add it, -4 plus 28 over 17 equals b. You can change, you can change -4 plus 28 over 17 equals b. You can change the 4 to have a denominator of 17. So you would do that by multiplying it by 17 and keeping the bottom 17, and 28 over 17 equals b. So 4 times 17 is -68 over 17 plus 28 over 17 equals b. B equals -40 over 17. So y, so now you know the intercept. So y equals 7 over 17x minus 40 over 17. And since this equation has a fraction, it's better that we multiply the whole equation by 17 so that we get rid of the fraction. So 17y equals 7x minus 40, and that is your equation. Okay, so let's go to the next question. B has a slope of 8, an intercept of 6. So b equals 6 and slope equals 8. So this is relatively easy. Y equals y equals 8x minus plus 6. So y equals 8x plus 6. So now let's look at having an x-intercept of 5 and y-intercept of -3. So x-intercept of 5 and y-intercept of 3. Y-intercept of -3. So that means b is equal to -3. So we know the b part of the equation. So when you think of a y-intercept, when this is for example, this is an example of a y-intercept. Whenever there's a y-intercept, x is always 0. So the point would be 0 and -3. So the y-intercept, so for y-intercepts, the x is always 0. For x-intercept, it's like this. This is an example of an x-intercept. What do you notice? That y is 0. So the other point would be 5 and 0. So since we have 2 points now, we can find the slope. Y equal, So you have slope equals 0 minus 3 over 5 minus 0 equals 3 over 5. So the equation is 5 equals 3 over 5x minus 3, because that's the intercept. Oh, we were supposed to graph these ones. Okay, once we're done getting the equations, we can go back and graph them. So, and the next one is D. D, we have 2 points, so we can five and 6. 5 and 6. 5 and 9. 5 and -9. So you have slope y equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1 equals. So what do you notice about the x values? They're both the same. So let's say, for instance, we consider this to be y2. Yeah, -15 over 0. You cannot divide by 0, it's undefined. So if you look at these 2 points, they would be like this. So negative, so it's 5. Let's say, for instance, this is 5. And this is -5, -10. And let's say this is 5, and this is +10. So the first point, 5 and 6, would be somewhere here. And the other point would be 5 and -9, which would be somewhere here. If you notice, it's a vertical line. So vertical lines, the slope is undefined. The equation for a vertical line is, so y equals mx plus b. There is no y-intercept, so the equation is just for a vertical line is x equals 5, because this line is always on 5. If there was a vertical line here, it would be x equals 6. Or if it was at -2, x equals -2. So that is that. Let's look at the next. Yeah, so that was the last one. Let's go graph that. We'll use graphing. So for graphing, I always like to do a table. So for instance, if we have this one, we found the equation to be so let me just write all of the equations. So A was y equals 17y equals 7x minus 40. That was for A. For B, it was x plus 6. For C, it was y equals D, it was x equals 3. Well, let's do the easy one first, which is x equals 3. So what are the points? We have 5 and 0. Oh, sorry, no, it would be 5 and 1. Yep. We can do some -5 and -1. 5 and -2. We can do, see, if you see all of them lie on, they're in a straight line. So I can, y equals, we can do it like this and I can show you what, no, x equals 5. See, that is the equation for y equals 5. So, okay, and then let's do another one, which was 17y equals 7x minus 40. So it's a diagonal line. Let me draw the other one. Y equals 8x. Y equals 8x plus 6. That's that one. And the last one is y equals minus 3. So instead of, let's just remove these. Now we have the two, we have all of the graphs for the 4. So what I like to do is do points. So we're going to be doing 4a. Let's clear this. We can keep that open because we might 4a. And the question is 5 plus h cubed minus 125 over h. So pretty much we need to simplify this. So we need to expand on this. So you can also write it like this. So let's do this. So 5 times 5 is 25. And 5 times h is 5h. H times 5 is 5h. And h times h is h squared. And you have 5 plus h. So now let's simplify this a little bit further. 25 plus 10h plus h squared. You have 5 plus h. 25 times 5 is 125 plus 25h plus 50h plus 10h squared plus 5h squared plus h cubed over h. Now let's simplify this further. So 125 you have plus 75h plus 15h squared plus h cubed. Oh yeah, and we can't forget about this minus 125. Oh, now this 125 and 125 cancel, and we're just left with 75h plus 15h squared plus h cubed over h. So since they all have h, we can cancel it out. So 75 cancel, and you're left with 75 plus 15h plus h squared. So that's perfect. So now let's go to the next question. So this is your final answer. Let's go to the next question, which is B. This is the same, there's a trick for doing this. This is the same as let's write in red. So 3 plus h there's a easier way to expand on this. So what you do is you do 3 squared, it's 9, plus, there's 2 times 3 plus 3 times 2 and h, so it's 6h plus h squared. And since they're exactly the same, it would also be the same. Oops. So now you can multiply it out. So 8 times 8 is 81. Oh yeah, we can't forget the 81. So 81 plus 54h plus 9h squared plus 54h plus 36h squared h cubed, and then you have 9h squared plus 6h cubed plus h to the 4, and you're left minus 81. This is all over h equals, so the 81 and 81 cancel. So you're left with 54h plus 54h is 108h. Is there any other h? No. 9h squared plus 36h squared plus 9h squared is 54h squared. And then that's h squared, and h cubed, there's 12, 6, 6 plus 6. So we have 108h plus 54h squared plus 12h cubed plus h to the 4 over h, and so you can remove the h since it's common, and you're left with 108 plus 54h plus 12h squared plus h to the h cubed. So that is the answer. So let's do the next one. Let's see. So 1 over 1 plus h minus 1 over h. So since we have a fraction, we want to also change this number into a fraction. So it would be 1 over 1 plus h. And then we're going to do 1. We're going to multiply the top and the bottom by 1 plus h. Yeah, 1 plus h over h. So now when you expand it out, you get 1 and 1 plus h over 1 plus h over h. So we can produce this. So 1 minus 1 minus, so minus 1, 1 times 1, and there's a negative, so it's minus 1. And then negative 1 times h is negative h over 1 plus h over h. So the 1's cancel and you're left with negative h for 1 plus h, and then divided by h. So it would be negative h, 1 plus h. You would do a multiplication of its reciprocal, so 1 over h. So the h's here cancel and you're left with negative 1, 1 plus h. So that's the answer for that one. That was C. Let's do the next one. B. 3, 1 plus h squared minus 3 over h. So you have, okay, so let's do the inside first. So the rule is you would do 1 squared, which is 1, plus, so then you do 2 times 1 times h, which is 2h, plus h squared, minus 3 over h. So you have to multiply the 3 by, multiply 3 to everything in that bracket. So it's 3 plus 6h plus 3h squared minus 3 over h. So you have 3's are canceling, so you're left with 3h squared plus 6h over h. So you can remove h from there, so you're left with 3h plus 6 over h, and you cancel the h, so you're left with 3h plus 6. So the next question, which is E. So since the denominators are different, we want to make them the same. So we want to multiply this one by 4, and we want to multiply this fraction by this one, 4 plus h. So we have 3 times 4 and 4 times 4 plus h and minus 3 bracket 4 plus h over 4 plus h all over h. So you're left with 12, 3 times 4 is 12. Negative 3 times 4 is negative 12. Negative 3 times h is negative 3h over 4 plus h over h. So this reduces down so we can cancel the 12. So you're left with negative 3h over 4 plus h over h, which would be negative 3h over 4 plus h you're dividing, right? So you're going to multiply by the reciprocal, so it's 1 over h. So you're canceling the h's. You're left with negative 3 times 1 over 4 plus h. So that's your answer. And F. Is negative 1 over 2 plus h plus half over h. So you're going to multiply the 2 to this fraction and then multiply 2 plus h to this fraction. So negative 1 times 2 plus h times 2 plus 1 times 2 plus h over 2 times 2 plus h, which is equal to negative 2 plus 2 plus h over 2 plus 2 plus h over h. So the 2's cancel, so you're just left with h over, you're left with h over 2 plus h. And since you're dividing by h, you're going to multiply by the reciprocal, 1 over h. Cancels, so you're left with 1, 2, so you're going to divide a, which is square root of So what we have to do here is rationalize the numerator. So you see that there are 2 terms here. So what we need to do is multiply by the conjugate. So it's going to be 16 plus h plus 4 over square root of 16 plus h plus 4 equals, so when you multiply square roots, they disappear and you're just left with what's in the black bracket, so it's 16 plus h, and then negative 4 times positive 4 is minus 16 over h over square root 16 plus h plus 4. So the 16's cancel and you're left with h over h square root 16 plus h plus 4. H is cancelled and you're left with 1 over square root 16 plus h plus 4. So that's your answer for 5A. Now let's do B. So you have this one, so square root 8 squared plus 5h plus 4 over h minus 2. So since you have two terms here, you have, and you're trying to rationalize the numerator, you have to multiply by the conjugate. So 8 squared plus 5h plus 4 plus 2 over h squared plus 5h plus 4 plus 2. So you're left with, when you multiply square roots, the square roots disappear and it's only what's inside is left. So 8 squared plus 5h plus 4, and minus 2 times plus 2 is minus 4 over h and square root h squared plus 5h plus 4 plus 2. So the h's you can cross out and you're left with h squared plus 5h over h square root h squared plus 5. Oh. So you can factor out h. So h squared, oops, sorry, it's supposed to be just h, plus 5 over h squared plus 5h plus 4 plus 2 cancel, and left with h plus 5 over square root x squared plus 5h plus 4 plus 2. So that's the answer for that one. Let's do C. So you have square root 5 plus h So since you have two terms, you're going to multiply it by the conjugate, which is 5 plus h plus square root 5 over 5 plus h plus square root 5 equals, so when you multiply square roots, it's just the inside that remains, minus square root 5 times positive square root 5, which is just 5 over h 5 plus h so you're left with the 5 minus 5 is 0, so you're just left with the h 5 plus h square root plus square root 5 the h's cancel, and you're left with 1 over square root 5 plus h n plus square root 5. Now let's do 6. 6. Determine an expression in simplified form for the secant PQ. So remember, this was one of almost like the one that we did previously. So you have an equation which is y equals 3x squared. And the point that you have is 0.1 and 3. Double check the question. Yep. So you have to, so when you put in 1 into this equation, you get 3. So what we need to do is, how you figure out what you need to add h to is the x. So we're going to use 1 plus h, because this is what the x is. So 1 plus h. So that's what we're going to substitute here. So we're going to do 3, 1 plus h squared, and then minus whatever value it is for y. So if it's a negative number, it becomes positive. But since this is a positive number, it's going to be minus 3 over h. So let's do 3 times, so 1 squared is 1 plus 2 times 1 times h is 2h plus h squared minus 3 over h equals, now you're going to multiply everything by 3 plus 6h plus 3h squared minus 3 over h. You're gonna equals 3h squared plus 6h over h equals, so now you can factor out an h. You have 3h squared, h, so 3 h, not squared, so because we need to get the h, plus 6, and then h at the bottom. You can cancel them, and you're left with 8h plus 6. So that is the answer. Okay, so now let's do the next one, which is B. So now we have so here you can see this is the function, and this is what we're going to do. So we're going to use this one. So what we're going to do is, it's going to be 1 plus h cubed minus, sorry, it's plus 2, and whatever value that they have for y, which is 3, so it's minus 3 over h. So they've already given it to us what we need to simplify, and then this is the y value. So let's do that. So we can separate this out too. So you have 1 plus 2h cubed squared plus 1 plus h minus 3. So you have 1 plus h. You have 2h. You have 2h squared. Then you have h squared and h cubed plus 2 minus 3 over h. So you have, let's do the numbers. So 1 plus 2 minus 3 is 0. Okay, now let's look at the h. You have 3h. You have 3h. Then you have how many h? I believe this is squared. Yeah, this is 2h squared. So you have 2h squared plus h squared is 3h squared plus h cubed over h. So you can remove the h, so you're left with 3 plus 3h plus h squared. The answer is 3 plus 3h plus h squared. Let's do the next one. So this is going to be one of the functions. Next function. So it's going to be minus whatever the y value is. So it's 3 and over h. So we're going to multiply by the conjugate, which is 9 plus so when you multiply two square roots, it's just left with what's inside. And minus 3 times positive 3 is minus 9 over h. 9 plus h plus 3. You're left with h, and you're left with 9 plus h plus 3. So let's cancel, and you're left with 1 over square root 9 plus h plus 3. So that is the answer for that one. So 7. So for question 7, we're going to be doing it in Excel. So what we're going to be doing is, using this formula, we're going to be finding out the value of P, the points for P, and the values for Q. So I'm going to put it in spreadsheet because it's easier. So for For P, when the value is 2, when we put it in the formula, which is 2 times 2 times 2, which is the same thing as cubed, is 8. So all the way through, it's 8. So for 3, what we do is we have to do 3 times 3 times 3. Oops. 3 times 3. Here we're doing 2.5 times 2.5 times 2.5. This one is 2.1 times 2.1 times 2.1. Here it's 2.01 times 2.01 times 2.01. Here it's 1 times 1 times 1. Here we did 1 times 1. Here we're going to do 1.5 times 1.5 times 1.5. And here we're doing 1.9 times 1.9 times 1.9. Here we're doing 1.99 times 1.99 times 1.99. So these are your values. The slope so how we calculate slope is y2. So let's label this. So x, this is going to be x1, this is going to be y1, and this is going to be x2, and this is going to be y2. So what we do for slope is we do y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. So we get 19. And we can so if you do 15.625 minus 8 divided by 2.5 minus 2 to 15, you're doing this, y2 minus y1 divided by 2.1 minus, equals this minus this divided by this minus this this 1 minus 8 minus 1 minus 2 equals this minus this minus this minus this equals this minus this minus equals this, this minus this, minus this, minus this, minus So what this is showing is that as the value gets closer to 2, the slope becomes closer to 12. See, either way, you come from lower to from 1 to 2 or from 3 to 2. You notice that all of the slope gets close to 12. So for A, we completed it. Your results approximate the slope of the tangent. So we're approximating it as slope. For A, we did B, our slope is 12. B, use the slope to calculate the secant where the x-coordinate is 2 plus. So here we have the points 2 and 8, and we're going to use Q as 2 plus H, and we're going to substitute it into the equation y equals x cubed. So 2 plus H cubed minus 8 over H. So you can separate this out as 2 plus H squared times 2 plus H minus 8 over H. So when you expand it out, you get 4 plus 4H plus H squared times 2 plus H minus 8 over H. And then you get 8 plus 4H plus 8H plus 4H squared plus 2H squared plus H cubed minus 8 over H. So when you simplify it out, you get 12H plus H squared plus H cubed over 8H. So you can factor out H, and you're left with 12 plus 6H plus H squared. So when you, in order to find the slope, you substitute 0 as H, and when you do this, you find that the slope is 12. So based on the Excel sheet and the formula that or the method that we followed here, we got 12. So both methods gave us sketch the graph of fx and the tangent to the point at P. So let's put the equation y equals x 3. So that's that. And the tangent, so we can also do this by putting in points, like for instance 1 and 1 and 3. And then we have another point which is 2 and 8. We have 3 and 27. We have negative 1 and, sorry, it's 1 and 1, sorry. Negative 1 and 1. Negative 2 and negative 8. And negative 3 and negative 27. These are just some of the points. So when you put these points, you will see, and it will be, you have 0 and 0, and the point that we were looking at is 2 and 8. So
So let's just take a so here we would draw a line here at this point, very close to pretty much that is where the tangent would be, exactly where my line is going. So you would draw a line like that. So the line would be exactly there. That would be the tangent. Okay, so let's go here. Determine the slope of the tangent to the curve, so 8a. So 8a, y equals 3x squared, and you have the point x equals -2. Find out what y is. Y equals, so if you put -2 here, so -2 squared is 4, it's 12. So what you're going to do is you're going to do -2 plus h, this is the value of x that you use, plus squared, there's a 3, minus 12 over h equals, so 3, negative, let's, so you get 12 minus 6h minus 6h plus 3h squared minus 12, and you have 12 minus 12h plus 3h squared minus 12, the 12's cancel, and you get negative 12h plus 3h squared over h. Substitute out the h, so you're left with h, negative 12 plus 3h over h. And then when you substitute, so you get negative 12 plus 3h, you substitute 0 for the h, you just get negative 12. Okay, so next question, which is 9. Oh, sorry, it's 8b. x equals 3. 9 minus 3 is 6. So put 3 plus h squared minus 3 plus h minus 6 over h. So 9 plus 6h plus squared minus 3 minus h minus 6 over h equals 9 plus 5h. Oops. So 9 minus 3 minus, so it's 0. 6h minus h is 5h. 5h plus h squared over h. Factor out h. 5 plus h. When you substitute h is equal to 0, you get 5. So the slope is 5. Now see. Y equals x cubed. And the point is x equals negative 2 and y is negative 8. So you have negative 2 plus h cubed minus, it would be minus 8, which would be 4. So you have negative 8 So the 8's will cancel. You're left with 12h minus 12h minus 6h squared plus h cubed over 8. Factor out the h. You have 12 minus 6h plus h squared over h. Cancel, cancel. And when you substitute in 0 for h, you just get 12. So let's do 9a. x equals 3. So then if x equals 3, 3, oops. So it's 1, y equals 1. So it would be 3 plus h minus 2 minus 1 over h. Now you have to multiply by the conjugate. So if you substitute 0 for the h, you get square root of 1. So that's a. Let's look at b. So when you multiply roots, it's just 9 plus h minus 5. 2 times 2 is minus 4 over h square root 9 plus h minus 5 plus 2 equals. So you have h over h 9 plus h minus 5 plus 2. So the h's cancel and you're left with 1 over square root 9 plus h minus 5 plus 2 equals 0. So it's 9 plus 0 is 9, minus 5 is 4, square root of 4 is 2. So 1/2 plus 2 is 1/4. That's the answer for B. Now let's look at C. We have so minus 1 plus 3, which is we're multiplying by the conjugate. So you have 5, 2 plus h minus 1, and then minus 3 times positive 3 is negative 9 over h square root 5, 2 plus h minus 1 plus 3. So equals 10 plus 5h minus 1 minus 9 over h 5, 2 plus h minus 1 plus 3 equals 5h over h square root 5, 2 plus h minus 1 plus 3. The h is cancelled and we're left with 5 over root 5, 2 plus h minus 1 plus 3 equals 5. If you substitute 0 for h, you have 5. So 2 plus 0 is 2. So 5 times 2 is 10. 10 minus 1 is 9. Square root of 9 is 3. So it's 5 over 6. So now let's look at 10. Okay, so 10a. We have y equals 8 over x. So oops, this should be x. X equals 2, y equals 4. So we have 8 over 2 plus h minus 4 over h. So we have to multiply the 4 by 2 plus h, so it equals 8 over 2 plus h minus 4, 2 plus h over h. So 8 minus 8 minus 4h over 2 plus h over h. So we're left with minus 4h over 2 plus h over h. So 4 over 2 plus h, sorry, that's negative. Oh yeah, then there was h. How do we miss that? No. Sorry, no, that's wrong. The h is here. So negative 4h multiplied by 1 over h, you get negative 4, 2 plus h. And when you substitute 0, you get negative 4 over 2, which is equal to negative 2. Let's do the next one. So the next one is y equals 8 over 3 plus x. So x equals 1, y equals 2. So we have 8, 3 plus 1 plus x minus 2 over h. So expand this out first. So 8 over 3 plus 1 plus h minus 2 over 8 is equal to 8 over 4 plus h minus 2 over h. So we're going to multiply the 2 by 4 plus h. Eight minus 2h over 4 plus h over h equals negative 2h over 4 plus h. So we can do negative 2h, 4 plus h times 1 over h. Cancel the h, so we have negative 2, 4 plus h equal to negative 1/2 when h is substituted as 0. Then C, we have y equals 1 x plus 2, x equals 3, y equals 1/5. So 1 over 3 plus h plus 2 minus 1 over 5. So we can write this as 1, 5 over h minus 1 over 5. So we have to multiply this by 5 and multiply this fraction by 5 plus h over h. So this becomes 5 times 1 times 5 plus h minus 1, 5 plus h over 5 plus h equals, so we have 5 minus 5 minus h over 5 plus h. So equals, these cancel, left with negative h over 5 plus h over h. So all of these are over h. So negative h, 5 plus h times 1 over h. These cancel. You're left with negative 1, 5 plus h. And when you substitute h as 0, you get negative 1 over 25. So for the next question, which is 1 over x squared, you have y equals Five, 1 over 5 plus h minus 1 over 5 over 5 plus h. So for 11a, y equals x squared minus 3x. 2 minus 2. Okay, so 2 plus h squared minus 3, 2 plus h plus 2 over h squared plus 4h plus 4 minus 6 minus 3h plus 2 over h equals h squared plus minus 2h. So that's 5h. So that's 4 minus 6h. Oh, sorry, minus 6, not 6h. Minus 3h, yeah. So this one, left with h squared plus minus, no, plus h. So plus 4, that's 0. So equals h plus 1 over h. So h, when it's 0, it's the slope is 1. Let's do b. b fx equals 4 over x, negative 2, negative 2. So 4, negative 2 plus h plus 2 over h. So 4, negative 2 plus h plus 2, negative 2 plus h over h equals 4 minus 4 minus, no, plus 2h over negative 2 plus h over h equals 2h over negative 2 plus h. You're going to multiply by the reciprocal. So that's B. Now C. When it's 0. When you substitute 0 for h, you get 9. Minus 7 plus 3, which is a conjugate. And then you do 16 plus h minus 7 plus 3. So you're left with 16 plus h minus 7 minus 9 over h square root 16 plus h minus 7 plus 3 equals h 16 plus h minus 7 plus 3. So these cancel and you're left with 1 square root 16 plus h minus 7 plus 3 equals 1 square root 16 plus 0 is 16. 16 minus 7 is 9. Square root of 9 is 3. 3 plus 3 is 6. So the next question is E25 minus x squared. So the points are 3 and 4. So you have square root 25 minus 3 plus h squared plus, no, minus 4 over is plus 4, the conjugate. So you multiply, you're left with 25 minus 3 plus h squared minus 16 over h squared. This is not there. So it's 25 minus 3 plus h squared plus 4 equals 25 minus 9 minus 6h minus h squared minus 16 over h 25 square root of 25 minus 3 plus h squared plus 4. So if it's 0, you have negative 6 at the top over, so 25 minus 3 plus 0. So this is 0, 9, 25 minus 9 is 16. Square root of 16 is 4. 4 plus 4 is 8. Which is the same thing as negative 3 over 4. F. 4 plus x minus 2. The points are 8 and 2. So you have 4 plus 8 plus h over 8 plus h minus 2 equals 12 plus h over 6 plus h minus 2. So we have to multiply this by 6 plus h, and then multiply the bottom by 6 plus h. Equals 12 plus h minus 12 minus 2h over 6 plus h over h equals minus h over 6 plus h times 1 over h equals negative 1 over 6 plus h. So it's negative 1 over 6. So 12. Sketch the function in 12e. So we want to sketch this graph, which is the square root of 25 minus x squared. I've used this to sketch it, and you can see that it's a semicircle. So we want to find the tangent, and the tangent line would be right here, would be a straight line here. And there will be a line from the center out, and it will look something like this. So this is the semicircle, this is the tangent line, and the tangent line and the line coming from the middle will meet. And this point is the point that we should use in order to find the slope. So if we look at the graph, it's going to be will roughly be this point. And that will be 3 and 4. So the slope is calculated as m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So slope is equal to, it was 4 minus 0, the center points. X2 was 3 minus 0. So the slope of that point was 4 over 3. But we want to know the slope of this line. And that is perpendicular. If you see this, it's perpendicular. So the slope is going to be 3 over 4 negative. The next question is, explain how you would approximate the slope of the tangent ab point without using the definition of the slope. what you would do is take values close to x, then find the slope. Okay, so let's do the next question. Using technology, sketch the graph of this, y equals 3 over 4 square root 16 minus x squared. So let's look at that. Let's sketch that. Is that the right one? And slope of the tangent at 0 and 3. So if we sketched it, look, this is how it looks like. So like this. Cut it. Yeah, paste. So now this is the graph. So if you see, so what it's saying is that at explain how the slope of tangent 0 and 3 can be found without using the difference quotient. So if you look at at 0 and 3, this point, the slope would be here and it would be horizontal. So it would be 0 and 3, right? 0 and 3, yeah. So if you look at that point, 0 and 3, that point is it's quite horizontal. So the slope would be 0. So now let's do question 15. Okay, so let's do question 15. So y equals x squared minus 3x plus 1. So we would, and the points are 3 and 1. So you have 3 plus x squared minus 3 plus x plus 1 minus 1 over h. So you have h squared plus 6h plus 9 minus 9 minus 3h plus 1 negative 1. So you're left with over h. You're left with h squared plus 3h over h. And take out the h. You're left with h. And if you substitute 0 for h, you get 3. So the slope is 3. And the formula you would do y equals 3x plus b, and input the points. So you have 1 equals 3 times 3 plus b. 1 minus 9 equals b. Minus 8 equals b. So it's y equals 3x minus 8. Now let's clear that. Let's look at 16. 16 is x squared minus 7x plus 12. X equals 2. Y equals 2. So you have 2 plus h squared minus 7 plus h plus 12 minus 2. You have h squared plus 4h plus 4 minus 14 minus 7h plus 12 minus 2 over h equals h squared minus 3h over h minus 3 over h equals negative 3. Negative 3, y equals negative 3x plus b. So you have y 2 equals negative 3, 2 plus b. 2 plus 6 is b. 8 equals b. Y equals negative 3x plus 8. So y equals x squared minus 3x plus 1. So we would, and the points are 3 and 1. So you have 3 plus x squared minus 3 plus x plus 1 minus 1 over h. So you have h squared plus 6h plus 9 minus 9 minus 3h plus 1 negative 1. So you're left with over h. You're left with h squared plus 3h over h. And take out the h. You're left with h. And if you substitute 0 for h, you get 3. So the slope is 3. And the formula you would do y equals 3x plus b and input the points. So you have 1 equals 3 times 3 plus b. 1 minus 9 equals b. Minus 8 equals b. So it's y equals 3x minus 8. Now let's clear that. Let's look at 16. 16 is x squared minus 7x plus 12. X equals 2. Y equals 2. So you have 2 plus h squared minus 7 plus h plus 12 minus 2. You have h squared plus 4h plus 4 minus 14 minus 7h plus 12 minus 2 over h equals h squared minus 3h over h minus 3 over h equals negative 3. Negative 3, y equals negative 3x plus b. So you have y 2 equals negative 3, 2 plus b. 2 plus 6 is b. 8 equals b. Y equals negative 3x plus 8. So we're going to do number 17, which is x squared minus 4x plus 1. So it's saying the coordinates of point A when x equals 3. So what we need to do is just put in x equals 3 in the formula. So 3 squared minus 4, 3 plus 1. You have 9 minus 12 plus 1. So that's minus 2. So the points are 3 and minus 2. That's for A. For B, you have x equals 5. So we put 5 in the equation. 5 squared minus 4 times 5 plus 1. 25 minus 20 plus 1. So that's 26 minus 20. That's equal to 6. So the point is 5 and 6. So next question. The equation of secant AB. So since we know the 2 points, we can do slope. We can calculate the slope, which is slope is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1 equals, so let's take this as point 2. So 6 minus 2 over 5 minus 3. So the bottom is going to be a 2. The top is going to be 8. We're left with 4. So we can do y equals 4x plus b. So now we need to calculate what b is. So we're going to substitute any of the 2 points. So let's use 5 and 6. So y is going to be 6 equals 4 times 5 plus b. 6 minus 20 equals b. Negative 14 equals b. So the equation is y equals 4x minus 14 is the equation for the secant. Okay, so now we're going to do D. We're going to find, oh, delete. So now 17B. So the A is x equals 3. So we have x squared minus 4x plus 1. And when x is equal to 3, we have 9 minus 12. So it was 3 and negative 2, right? Those were the points we found. So what we need to do is everywhere it's at x, we're going to change that to 3 plus h. So 3 plus h squared minus 4, 3 plus h plus 1 minus, so since it's minus and minus, it becomes plus, so it'll be plus 2. You have to put the value that you get as y when you input 3 into this equation. So you have x squared plus 6h plus h squared minus 12 minus 4h plus 1 plus 2. X squared plus, well, that's 2h squared, 6h, that's 2h, minus 10. That didn't work. So we're going to do 7e, no, 7d. So the points that we got were 3 and negative 2. So what we're going to do is into the equation where there's x, we're going to substitute 3 plus h. So it's 3 plus h squared minus 4x, so it's 3h minus 1, right? That was the equation. Oh, it's plus 1, plus 1. And then minus, since this is minus 2, it's going to become plus 2, right? That's the equation. And then this is the result of putting 3 into the equation. So you have x squared plus 6h plus 9 minus 12 minus 4h plus 1 plus 2. So you're left with h squared, 6h, there you get plus 2h, and then all of the numbers are 0 over h. So now we can substitute out h plus 2 over h. So when h is 0, the slope is 2. So slope equals 2. So let's write the equation. So y equals 2x plus b. Let's use these 2 points. So negative 2 equals 2 times 3 plus b. negative 2 minus 6 equals b. Negative 8 equals b. Y equals 2x minus 8. That's the equation. Now let's do the next one. Seven E. So 5 squared is 25 minus 20. 5 plus 1 is 6. So the points are 5 and 6. So if you do 5 plus h squared minus 4, 5 plus h plus 1. This is 6, so it's just minus 6. Yep. So we have h squared plus 10h plus 25 minus 20 minus 4h plus 1 minus 6 for h. So you're left with h squared plus 6h over h. So the slope is equal to 6. So y equals 6x plus b. So 6 equals 6 times 5 plus b. 6 minus 30 equals b. Negative 24 equals b. Y equals 6x minus 24. That is the equation for that one. So now let's look at 18. 18a. 18a is copy the following diagrams, draw a approximate tangent for each curve and point an estimated slope. This is estimating. Okay, so let's look at actually right here. If you take the slope at this line, it's a vertical line. So the slope is actually undefined because it's a straight vertical line. So it's undefined. Here is another case, except that it's a horizontal line, and horizontal lines have a slope of 0. Okay, this one, what we can do is take a rough estimate of the slope. We know that it's negative because it's going down. So let's look at let's take some points that are close. It's about rise is 1. It's about, so rise, if we are going to just take this point, so the rise is 1 and the x is about half rise over run. So let's So we have 1 divided by 0.5. It's about negative, roughly negative, or maybe it's even 1 divided by 0.3. No, it's about 0.5, 0.4. Yeah, so let's just take this point here. It's, if you look at just this part, you look at the rise, the rise is 1, and this point would be 0.5, so it's less than that, so it's about 0.4. So you do rise, which is 1, and 1 divided by 0.4 is 2.5, and we know this is a negative slope, so it'll be roughly negative 2.5. Okay, let's do the d. Okay, let's look at this point. Rise over run. Okay, rise over run. So this is roughly, not almost, this is a positive slope, and it's almost at 1, you could see maybe 0.8. So the rise is 0.8, and the run so I would say that it is about, let's say this is I would say that it is yeah, I would say it's about 0.6. So 0.8 divided by 0.6, I would say the slope is about 1 point, around 1.3, roughly. Let's look at this one. Okay, let's take this. So rise is about, we know that this is a negative slope. Rise is, let's say, is 1 and 1.3, and run is 1.7. Oh, this is 2. And this one, okay, let's do this rise. 0.8, and the run is about 0.7, it's 0.9. It's about 0.88. Remember, this is just an estimate, so, and here the slope at this point is there is no tangent here because it's a distinct point, then there can't be a slope here. So these are just estimates, so you can try your best and try to determine the slope. Okay, so let's do 19. So 19, we have 20 over square root of p minus 1. So we're gonna, so what we're gonna do is when we put, so the values are gonna be, the values that are given are 5 and 10. So yeah, so we'll do 20 over square root of 5 plus h minus 1 minus 10. So now what we have is we're going to simplify this even more. So it'll be 20 over square root of 4 plus h minus 10. So this, we need to rationalize the denominator. So we're going to multiply this number, the top and the bottom, by this radical. So 20 over square root 4 plus h minus 10 square root 4 plus h over root 4 plus h. So equals 20 minus 10 square root 4 plus h over 4 plus h. Okay, so we're going to do the conjugate, multiply by the conjugate. So you get 20 times 20 is 400. Then 10 times 10 is 100. And then a square root times square root, you're just left with the brackets over square root 4 plus h. And 20 plus 10 square root 4 plus h. So you're left with negative h. No, negative, sorry. You're left with negative 100 h over h square root 4 plus h over and 20 plus 10 square root 4 plus h. Cancel and cancel. Left with 100 over square root 4 plus h. 20 plus 10 square root 4 plus h. So if h is 0, you have square root of 4, which is 2. This is equal to 2. And this is square root of 4, which is equal to 2. 2 times 10 is 20. 20 plus 20 is 40. So this is 40. So it's 100, negative 100 over 80, which is equal to negative 5 over 4. So that is the answer for that question. Now let's do 20. So you have 100 t squared plus 400 t plus 500. So we're going to substitute. We have the point t is 0.5 and 225. Those are the points. If I put 0.5 in this equation, I get this. All right, did I write the equation probably? 5,000. 5,000. So you have 100, 0.5 plus h squared plus 400, 0.5 plus h plus 5,000 minus 5225. So you get 100. You have 0.25 plus h plus h squared plus 200 plus 400h plus 5,000 minus 5, 2, 2, 5. Then you have 25 plus 100h plus 100h squared plus 200 plus 400h plus 500. Sorry, it's 5,000 minus 5, 2, 2, 5. So the numbers all are 0, come up to 0. Then you're left with 500 h plus 100h squared over h, and you take out the h 500 plus 100h. So when you substitute h as 0, you're left with 500. So that's 500 sheets per year. Okay, now let's do 21. Okay, so you have the equation. Find the coordinates of the points on curve fx equals 3x squared minus 4x where the tangent is parallel to line y equals 8x. So what you need to do is we're going to find the slope of this equation. So y equals, since we don't know the values of x and y, we're going to do this x plus h squared minus 4x plus h squared, there's no squared, minus 3x squared minus 4x. So this comes up to 3x squared plus 2xh plus x squared minus 4x minus 4h minus 3x squared plus 4x over h. So you have 3x squared plus 6xh plus 3h squared minus 4x minus 4h minus 3x squared plus 4x over h. So this cancels with this. 4x cancels with 4x, so you're left with 6 plus 3h squared minus 4h over h. Now we're going to remove this, 6x plus 3h minus 4 over x. Since we know that the slope is supposed to be slope is supposed to be 8, we can set this equation and we're going to substitute h as 0. So minus 4 equals 8. 6x equals 12. X equals 2. So when you put it back in this equation, so if we put 3, so 3 times 4 is 12. 12 minus 8 is 4. So the points are 2 and 4. And the equation, we don't need the equation. I think they didn't ask. Find the coordinates. It's 2 and 4. Now 22. So we're going to do 23. We want to find the points in which the points of intersection of the quadratic function. The tangents are perpendicular. We want to show that at the points of intersection, the tangents are perpendicular. So we have to set the two equations to be equal to each other. So x squared equals 1/2 minus x squared. So x squared plus x squared equals 1/2. We have 2x squared equals 1/2. X squared equals 1/2 divided by 2. So x squared equals 1/4. X equals 1/2 or -1/2. So we know that these are the points that we need to figure out the slope. So now let's find the limits. So you have this. The slope is 2x, so which is 2 times the value of x, which, okay, let's say if it's half, the slope is 1. The slope is negative half. The slope is -1, right? I'm going to just move this. Oops, undo. Move this over. Now we have to find 1 minus x plus h squared minus 1 So you have 1/2 minus x squared plus 2xh plus h squared minus 1/2 plus x squared. So those cancel each other and you're left with 2xh, sorry, it's negative x squared, and you have negative 2x plus h and negative h squared. Yeah, so now these cancel and these cancel, so you're left with negative 2xh minus h squared over h. You take out the h, you're left with negative 2x minus h over h. So you get negative 2x minus h, which comes down to negative 2x. So the slope, when it is 1, so when it is 1/2, the slope is negative 1. When it is negative 1/2, it's positive 1. So if you see, it's always the opposite because this is a positive. See, when it's negative 1, this one is negative 1. And here, when this is a negative 1, it's positive 1. So you see, it's a reciprocal. It's perpendicular because the slope, when they're perpendicular, they're equal to negative 1. So this one's negative 1 and this one is positive 1. So they are perpendicular. So we did that. Now 24. So 24, we have y equals negative 3x cubed minus 2x. You have points negative 1 and 5. So you're going to do negative 3, negative 1h cubed minus 2, negative 1 plus h minus 5. So this comes down to negative 3h cubed plus 9h squared minus 9h plus 3 plus 2 minus 2h minus 5 over h. And then you're left with negative 3h squared cubed plus 9h squared minus 11h over h. h negative 3h squared plus 9h minus 11 over h. H's cancel and you're left with negative 3h squared plus 9h minus 11. When you substitute h as 0, you're just left with negative 11. So we find the equation y equals negative 11 x plus b. Substitute the points you know. So 5 equals negative 11 and negative 1 plus b. So you have 5. That becomes positive. So when you bring it on this side, it's oh, so you have to do 2 and 2, sorry. You have to use the points, determine the equation of the line that passes through 2 and 2. So you have to use 2. So go back here. So you have to use 2 equals negative 11, 2 plus b. So 2, this is negative, so when you move it over, it's positive, 22b. So you get 24 equals b. Y equals negative 11x plus 24. And that's that one. 24. No, let's look at 25. So 25, there's A and B and C. Okay, so let's do A. So y equals 4x squared plus 5x minus 2. So you have y equal, so since we don't know the points and it tells us to use a as x, so we're going to do 4a plus h squared plus 5a plus h minus 2 minus 4x squared plus 5x minus 2. So you have 4a squared plus 2ah plus h squared plus 5a plus 5h minus 2 minus 4x squared minus 5x plus 2. So you're left with, you have 4a squared plus 2ah plus h squared plus 5a plus 5h minus 2. We can change this to a squared because it's the same thing. Minus 5a plus 2. So this one cancel, this one and this one cancel, this one and this one cancel. So you're left with let me go back because I made a mistake here. So you should change this to minus 4a squared minus 5a plus 2. So this should be 4a squared plus 8ah plus 4h squared plus 5a plus 5h minus 2. So you have left with 8ah plus 4h squared plus 5h over h. And you have 8a plus 4h plus 5 over h. you're left with slope is equal to 8a plus 5. B. So we have the equation 8a plus 5. So let's keep this there. And then we have B. (10x minus 2y minus 18 equals 0. So negative 2y equals negative 10x plus 18 divided by negative 2 divided by negative 2 divided by negative 2. So you have y equals 5x minus 9. So now we know the slope is 5. So 8a plus 5 equals 5. 8a equals 5 minus 5. 8a equals 0. So a equals 0. And so it's 0 and negative 2 are the first points. So now let's do the next question, which is C. So you have x minus 35y plus 7 equals 0. Negative 35y equals negative x, negative 7y equals negative 1 over negative 35x minus 7 over 35 equals 1 over 35x plus 1 over 5 because it's reduced. So now the other equation is 8a plus 5 equals, and this one is asking for tangent and this is perpendicular. So we see that this is the slope and we need to get something that's perpendicular. So it'll be negative 35. So 8a equals negative 35 minus 5, which is 8a equals negative 40. A equals negative 5. And when you put it into the original equation, y equals 4x squared, 4x squared plus 5x minus 2. Is that the equation? Yeah. And you put it into the original equation, so you get 4 negative 5 squared plus 5, negative 5, minus 2, you get 100 minus 25 minus 2, you're left with 73. So the points are negative 5 and 73.